It's BBC Introducing in Devon. We're backstage here at Plymouth Pavilions with half of Peace who are with us in, and you got told off a little bit before we press play on this, in a dressing room which we've made sure there's no incriminating evidence scattered around. It's cool. It's just four guys living together, pants on the floor. There's an interesting kind of Japanese 18 DVD on the floor in the corner and all that kind of stuff. I mean, just talk to me about your tour setup and the way it works for you as four guys going around as a band.
I think, I guess there's the four of us, and then there's also the crew as well. So we all kind of share this tiny room every day.
The four of us are actually really tidy and clean, and it's the crew that come in. It's
our guitar technician's pants are right on the floor there.
Yeah,
kind of
our tour manager's really messy, so it's kind of
really
annoying.
Messy. His name's Salmon.
Yeah,
he's cool.
Salmon.
But we're just I don't know. We kind of we have this room every day, or the bus, but there's not a lot going on the bus really. So we just sit around in here. I've been sat eating Haribo all day.
Which you're not supposed to do because you're about to go out for catering in a second, yeah.
I'm told off because I'm about to have dinner.
Yeah.
So Daddy told me off.
Can I just say, first of all, it's BBC Introducing in Devon. Welcome to Devon. I actually, and Harry, I suppose this will fit in with you perhaps more. I was born in the East Midlands, grew up in the West Midlands in Worcester. It wasn't until I came down to Devon that I've situated myself here. So I know what it's like living up there, studying in Birmingham and whatnot. Yeah. How's it being back at the seaside? Is Devon a place that you guys know? Have you been here before as such?
I haven't really. I never really travelled that much before being in a band. I've only really been to Devon to play, which sucks.
I've holidayed in Devon before, but never Plymouth actually.
I didn't leave Kidderminster till I was 8. So I don't know. Have we played in Devon before?
I think so.
Yeah, I like Devon though. To be honest, I walked around today. I was like 10 out of 10 this town. There was people with owls in the street, stroking owls. There's 2 Bootses. The one is smaller than the other one. But on Yelp, the reviews are mixed up. So if you go on the Yelp reviews for Boots in Plymouth, it'll say, one review says it's a small Boots and one says it's a big one, which I find quite amusing in my own little way. But you got to find something to keep you busy.
Well, look, we're delighted you're here. We can't wait to see you on stage a little bit later on. Let's talk about the music. Let's get a little bit serious for now. I'm genuinely delighted that I'm speaking to you because I really, really am a big fan. And I want to just explain to you the way that I found you and discovered you. And perhaps it might help inspire some of the younger bands that are listening to BBC Introducing on the show tonight. I think initially, and I want to talk to you a bit about covers to start with. Yeah. I heard your 1998 Binary Finery cover on Lauren Laverne on Six Music, probably 18 months, 2 years ago it might have been. And that was, for me, the first time I'd heard anything from you. It was a cover. It wasn't actually your own original material, but instantly, as a guy growing up in the late 90s, loving that kind of music, trance music and dance music, then kind of loving guitar music, you instantly came on the scene, merging the two, and became one of my favourite bands. I mean, how much do you kind of owe some success to that cover? What is your opinion of covers these days? It might just be something that bands are thinking about, do we make our name for ourselves by making a really interesting cover and getting ourselves noticed that way, or by staying away from that kind of thing?
I think covers are really good, especially if they're as inventive. And with the Binary Finery cover, I wrote lyrics for it and we made sections and we used the riff, but that was about it really, and we really went with it. And I really think that's a good way of learning about yourselves as a band, because you don't have to worry about writing something yet. You can just discover what you're about and what flavours you like. And we sort of were experimenting with soundscapes and what sounds we liked and stuff doing this cover. And it's kind of, I think we do owe a bit to that, because that was the first thing that a lot of people heard. And it kind of set us up as a band. Yeah. And it's kind of like that's what we're about in a song. And then you can just leave it and move on and start doing your own original stuff, and it's always there, that moment. Yeah.
It's a good platform to build on, isn't it?
Yeah. Pick a trance song, cover it, and then get on your thing.
Other songs that sound nothing like it.
It's just interesting, because after that, I know you might have done live lounges and things like that, and exclusive videos for people online.
We've done loads of covers for stuff like that. We always do. We did one of Disclosure, which went down really well.
That was a live lounge one, yeah. Bruno Mars.
Covered Mariah Carey
Justin
and
Bieber.
Radiohead. Yeah. Done loads, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
Do a lot of covers.
It's interesting because I think from the outside, you maybe struck me as a band that doesn't want to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, but my dad was in a covers band all my life, so I don't care. It's kind of one of those things. I grew up around, going to see a covers band every week, playing pubs around Kidderminster, so it's kind of...
And you grow up as well, loving bands and wishing that, there's always that fantasy of hoping that the drummer or like guitarist or whatever falls ill and then you have to go and cover for him and stuff. So like to be able to actually play other people's songs is in some ways one of the most fun things about being a musician.
Really
so
it trains you as a musician.
Yeah.
And it's like, people don't often realise that Nirvana used to play loads of covers, and Red Hot Chili Peppers as well. Didn't Tony say that they, both those bands, when they first came to England, were playing for 2 hours, and loads of it was just covers, and kind of... I think it's something that's always been done, and then maybe more recently it's just kind of gone out of fashion. But I don't think for any particular reason.
No, I don't think it's particularly a faux pas to do it in any way.
Not at all.
I mean,
covers.
Yeah.
I think the key is like you guys picking the right one, picking one that's totally different.
That's right, yeah, picking the right songs to cover, yeah.
Can we go back to the beginning then? Because that's my knowledge of Peace from about 2 years ago, and I've known you since then and been to gigs and bought your records and things since then. I think it stretches back a long time beyond that. So just talk to me about the formations of a young band when you first got started.
We met at the summer before college, and then Doug was a friend of Dom's and Sam was my brother. Yeah, and it was kind of... We just started a band... Well, me and Dom had the idea to, and then, we got together. Sam was obviously always at my parents' house. We practiced in my parents' garage. And then, Sam would play bass with us, and then I can remember inviting Doug into the band when I was really pissed once at AO Fields. And I was like, yeah, you can be in the band, mate. And he's like, yeah. He's like, and he's like, oh, mate, that means a lot. I was like, right, we've got a guitarist now, guys. And then I guess that was when the band started. But this is when we were 16, 16, yeah. It's like, we're 23 now. So then, ever since... Sam's 25, yeah. But then, ever since then, we just, told everyone that we were the best band in the world. But we told people that we were the best band in the world. We believed that we were the best band in the world. We'd go and play in pubs for 15 quid, wherever we could, constantly, every weekend. Sometimes we played in the same pub. We played in the Firefly in Worcester 3 times in the same week.
Yeah.
We went to...
People are probably doing that in Devon, potentially. Yeah. Were people going to the gig, though?
No. Nobody came to see us for years. We would go and play to absolutely nobody.
Once you've got all your mates down to your gig once, you can't really keep doing it. Because they just, why would you? Even if you were the best band in the world. Which
we'd go to, we went to play... We'd start going to Birmingham and start going clubbing there. And then getting shows that I convinced the promoter of the club night to put us on. It was a techno and house night, but he kind of did a show for us.
1 a.m, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's that sort of started something then, because when you've got loads of people who are on loads of drugs, who are used to listening to techno, and they start to like the band, they're like, hold on, but these guys are amazing, and we've been doing this for, we did years of playing to nobody, wherever we could. We'd drive to Glasgow to play to 5 people, and and then eventually it was just... people started liking it, and I guess that what we didn't realise is because we were deluded and thought that we were the best band ever. We were too stubborn. We wouldn't quit. We wouldn't let anything get us down. And then over the amount of time that we were doing that for, we actually became quite good. So
because we played so much, it was almost impossible for us not to improve and become better musicians.
We spent all of our money on travelling to places and just playing.
Yeah.
And
still do.
And then and working jobs to afford it, and then I guess it was sort of in Birmingham. Yeah, people just started to get into it, and we there was a little pocket of sort of young people who got into the band. But I used to go around clubs being like, "This is my fucking band. I'm in a band called Peace. We're wicked," and everyone would be like, "Shut up." But eventually, it kind of
Well, it does. It's really good to hear you say stuff like that, because that's what so many young bands are doing these days. Can you pinpoint at the moment or the time that changed then, and you perhaps realised that something bigger and better than going to pubs for 15 quid was about to happen?
Well, weirdly, my moment of kind of, I don't know, feeling that things were moving or changing was actually not moving away from that, but almost completely in the middle of that scene, which was when we played in my old flat.
Yeah.
And then it was completely full, just in my living room. And I say completely full, there couldn't be more than 50 people there, but still, the fact that there was 50 people trying to get into my house to watch us was kind of the first time.
Yeah.
And then there was people from a record label.
It was the first time people had properly like got into one of our shows.
Yeah.
Because everyone was pissed. I'd made some eggnog and somebody had put something nasty in it, which made everyone very weird, and everyone was really into it. I can remember playing in a pub. That was after we'd played a few weeks before in a pub in New Cross. We'd driven down to London and played to like probably 15 people again. But one of them was the editor of The Enemy. He was just there from coming back from Japan. And I can remember our manager, who was a friend of mine, Russ, he said afterwards she told someone from Colombia who went on to sign us, the guy who went on to sign us, Ollie, who came up to see us at Thingy House. And I can remember thinking, this is pretty serious now. And Russ called me and he was like, yeah, they're really serious about you. They're saying like that there's a big potential in the band. And this coming from like Colombia, who we'd played with the Vaccines when they first signed to Colombia. And I was like, that's a massive deal. And they came, it was around the same time for me that kind of, because he came up as well and we went, I went to buy some beers, and I walked down the shop with the A&R guy, Ollie, and he was kind of saying, he was like, I really like what you're doing, like, and he was saying, we've got like a thing around us, and I was like, right, I was like, we've actually got like fans and stuff, and he thought that we were really good, and I was like, fair play. And then everything after that just kind of, we ended up signing a record deal, and just the shows got bigger and stuff.
Don't believe everything you read online, but I've obviously done a little bit of research, and by the sounds of things, BBC Introducing may have had some involvement back in the day. I think Andrew Marsden, who I know quite well, who's up at the BBC in the West Midlands, or Hereford and Worcester, I think.
Send him emails. I got his personal email address somehow. I asked someone to give it me. I send him emails saying, play this on your radio show of our demos. And he's like, you've got to use the uploader. And I was like, I'm not going to use the uploader, mate. I was just like, just play it on air. And I went and dropped them in the office. And then we uploaded our demos on there, and we used to play a few shows that they'd done, like some nights that they did in Worcester, didn't they?
Clever management like Florence and the Machine take off the old demos from the BBC Introducing upload. I'm going to have to go back to the office and see whether yours might still be up there.
Have a look, see if you can. What would be on there? What were we called at the time? November and the Criminal. That'll maybe be on there. Have a look. But I've no shame of that. That was what we called ourselves when we started, and then
together as the four, isn't it?
Yeah, and then we kind of. I can never remember how Peace really happened. I can remember we wanted to start a new band. I wanted to start a new band because I was like, this isn't the right direction. It was all too ambient, and it was all too esoteric, and it was all trying to be like explosions in the sky. And I was like, but at the same time, I wanted to be a lyricist and write songs, and I was like, this isn't poppy enough for me. I wanted to start a new band, and then I was thinking, I used to work in a arts centre, and I was sat in the office thinking, like, who can I be in another band with? Who can I start this thing with? And I was like, well, obviously Dom. It's like, obviously Sam. And I was like, I don't know any of the guitarists, Doug. And then I can remember we played with a White Lies DJ set, didn't we, in like Hereford or something? Do you remember? And we were sat outside, and I was like, we should start another band. And I was like, we are a band. I was like, no, but we'll start another band, and like we'll. I think it's a good idea because we can, change our direction and change everything and the way that we work and stuff. And then we did, and then we called it Peace, and then it kind of went from there.
You're where you are now at this point. I'm so glad that Andrew told you off and told you to use the uploader, because that's the struggle that we have all the time. That's really good. Look, we want to hear some music amongst the talking and the interview. We want to hear some music.
Yeah, wicked.
I want to go back, not necessarily really early, but at least before we start talking about the new album and the new material, go back and get one of your choices. I've got the Delicious EP downloaded, so you could choose something from there, or you can choose something from In Love. If you've forgotten what the track listings are, you got a choice of one. Yeah.
So what are we saying? We're going to choose one of our own songs. I reckon. Do you know what I like? Waste of Paint. It's an album track. Some have said it's the perfect mixture of There's No Other Way and what's the other
some
one?
could say that. Yeah.
And something else I can't remember. But I always liked that track. I thought it was one of my best choruses, and it was never a single. It was just a nice album track, and it's always done well. So you agree?
Oh yeah, I'll go with you. I'll back you on that.
It's got a good drum beat.
Yeah.
I can remember you and Sam jamming that groove for ages in the chapel.
Yeah.
But that was one of my favourite choruses that I ever wrote. And I was like, why isn't this a single? Why isn't this a single? Everyone's like, you'll be sued by Blur.
Yeah.
So there you go. But yeah.
It's BBC Introducing in Devon, Waste of Paint with Peace. Here we are backstage at Plymouth Pavilions with the band. We've talked the history and the formation, and we've got some really good advice, I think, for the young bands that are listening in tonight. Let's talk about you as a band and your live reputation, because I've seen you live a couple of times now. I think I saw you first on the NME tour when you were really low on the bill, and awfully so. You should have been headlining that tour for me. And then I went to see you, I think, afterwards doing a solo one, but again, only slightly small venues. I think I saw you at the Fleece in Bristol in 2013. That was one of the best gigs I have ever been to in my life. You've got a really good reputation for a live band, and I'm sure you do put the energy and effort into every single gig, but is that something you see as being really important?
Yeah, definitely. We've always been like live over records or over anything, really, isn't it? And we've always had good shows. Like, we've always played well together, and when people got interested in the band, it's always been a good thing.
It started about live with us as well. It wasn't, we weren't making music on putting it on records.
Yeah, we didn't.
For 18 months after we started playing together, so it was kind of. We
Yeah.
grew as a live band, and then the record side of it came later, really.
That was always that's always been my thing as well. Is like, you just can't but playing live together. It's like building a wall, isn't it? It's like, or like being in a band's like building a wall, and when you play live together, it feels really strong. It's like you really can't with it. I didn't want to swear. I was trying to think of a way of not swearing. But you can't. You know what I mean? You become so strong that it doesn't matter if what you put out is, a number one single, or if it doesn't chart, or if it's that just doesn't matter, because if you're a good live band and you've put in the effort and you've got the fan base who are dedicated, nothing else matters. Doesn't really matter if you release a video.
The thing that people love to do more than anything is for there to be a band that has whatever level of success in a record that they release, or a single or whatever. They love to go to a show and say, oh, it's a good record, but live. People just love it.
Somebody called me and said that last night to me.
Yeah. So I think it's more important than anything to be able to back it up with the live show.
Away live.
Yeah, I think it's always kind of come first for us, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always been our priority. Yeah.
Well, that live performance perhaps and the reputation got you on the list, I think, for the BBC Sound of 2013 poll. I just want to get your take briefly on the one that's just been announced within the last 24 hours or so. I think there's maybe out of the 15 acts, one guitar band that you could really call a guitar band, which is Slaves, I think. But in terms of this year. Okay. Two. My apologies. It's not very many to me. I mean, what's your take on that?
It's out of fashion, isn't it?
Yeah, it was like that with our year as well. We were kind of one of five, I think.
Yeah. It's hard to. It's really easy to sell pop music, isn't it? Everything's weighed up by record sales, isn't it? Still, at the end of the day, even though they don't really matter anymore. It's not an indication of how big a band is or how good a band is. It's how much records they sell. But it seems to be this thing of like. I don't know. It's easy to sell a solo pop artist because you have a musical director who understands what's going on in the industry and what they need to sound like to fit in currently. And you have, a stylist who knows what they need to look like. And it's a massive team. So it's just really easy. And, in a struggling industry, it's really easy to just put together an artist and then it'll get on the sound poll and it'll sell and people know it will sell. And that's why, you know, the people who vote on that poll know what's going to be big because that's what will be. Whereas with a band, you've got to be at least sort of 2 to 4 to, I don't know, you know, you've got to be a group of people who've grown up listening to bands, who are deluded enough to think that they can do it, you know, who love each other and themselves enough to be in a band, and also who have a grip on what's going on in music, and, you know, have put in the time to learn instruments and be good.
And put in the time, stupid enough and foolish enough to put in so much time, you know, making no money, travelling around, playing gigs to even get to that position in the first place.
To be noticed for stuff like the sound poll, you know, you've got to have managed to create like a hype about yourself, which is harder than ever, you know. And it's like, it's not an easy time for bands because I don't think many people. It's you know, it's an equation, and it's almost like, I'm trying to think of a it's an anomaly, just all these things meeting that make a good band, and it doesn't feel like it's the right climate for it. But it don't know, it feels like it is though. That's what I don't understand. I think there's loads of good bands, but I think that the industry, I hate that word, aren't recognising it at the moment because it's not for shifting. Yeah. It's not going to shift units at the moment. It's harder to.
Well, thankfully you're out there flying the flag next year, particularly in 2015. Let's talk about you and the new music and the tour. Kind of, as a fan, I'm really excited. I've loved the singles that have been released so far and the videos that have just come out within the last couple of weeks. I think we're going to play Jen Strange shortly. Just as an excited fan, as perhaps people who are discovering Peace maybe for the first time listening in tonight, tell us why we need to be excited about the next album and sell us some of these tour dates which are coming up next year as well.
Yeah.
Already sold.
Well, they have. I would have said, if you're around here, go and see you at the Fleece again in Bristol, but that's sold out like that. I mean, that's going to be an amazing gig.
Yeah, they did. There's only a few dates. There's 2 or 3 dates that still have a few tickets left. But I think the new record is brilliant. No, I think it's. We were really critical on the first record and just kept on going. Didn't take a moment to stop. Never considered the first record as like this massive success. We never let it go to our heads, and we just kind of went out with a second record that was written not in the same way, but with the same energy as the first record of just like, right, let's do it again. When I was writing songs, I was like, these have to be better than the last ones. These have to be really good songs. And I think I did well with that. And it's, you know, when we were in the studio, we were like, right, this has to sound incredible. Let's really, you know, we really applied ourselves. We put a lot into the record.
And we were confident enough to think that we were capable of doing even more and better and bigger than the first record as well. Yeah. And we certainly weren't happy to settle on the success of the first record. So there's always room for more.
And it's different. It's very different. There's nothing the same as on the first album, is there? Nothing sounds like any of this, does it?
Not really, no.
No, not really. There's a few quiet songs, but they're all in completely different ways to California Days or Float Forever. And, you know, there's rocky moments, but all in. It's just more together. It's more that for In Love proper. It's all over the place, but the Happy People is a bit more like that's an album. And I like listening to it. When I listened to In Love, when we first did it, I was like, you know, I got to the guitar riff and Higher Than the Sun. I was like, I've got to turn this off. I love it. I love playing it live. And I was like, it's really hard for me to listen to. It gave me this weird feeling.
That's
but
the first track, isn't it?
Yeah. But
to be honest with you, I'd forgotten that was the first track. I thought that was track 4.
No,
always thought the Higher Than the Sun was track 4.
Turns it off after the first.
No, I could listen to it, but this one, I'm kind of, when I listen to it, I'm really proud. I'm like, we've done something really good here.
And introduce Jen Strange for us tonight, because is that going to be the next single? Am I right in thinking the video's incredible?
I think it's going to be the next single. I think we just put it out.
Okay.
But yeah, this is Jen Strange by Peace.